Let's talk about a kind of tired that doesn't show up on a sleep tracker. You can go to bed early, you can drink water, you can take vitamins, you can even get that rare, perfect night where you don't wake up once. And still, you open your eyes and the first thing you feel is weight. Not pain exactly, more like a quiet, thick heaviness that's already waiting for you, like it never clocked out. People who feel this way usually don't hate life in the dramatic movie scene sense. A lot of them are still showing up. They go to work, they answer messages, they laugh at the right moments, they keep plans, they look fine. Sometimes they're the reliable one in the group, the you can always count on them person. And that's part of the problem, because the exhaustion we're talking about isn't a single crisis. It's not one heartbreak, one loss, one bad year. It's the slow drain of living in a constant state of effort. Effort to be acceptable, effort to be stable, effort to not disappoint, efforts to keep your face normal when your mind is doing laps at 2 a.m. It's like your emotional budget has been overdrafted for months, maybe years, and nobody sent you a notification. So, the brain does what it always does when resources are low. It starts cutting non-essentials. Joy becomes expensive. Curiosity becomes optional. Spontaneity gets postponed. The future stops feeling like a place you're moving toward and starts feeling like a hallway you have to walk through. And you start saying things like, "I'm just tired," because it's the safest sentence. It doesn't scare people, it doesn't require a big conversation, it doesn't make you feel like you have to justify yourself. But inside, tired can mean a lot of things. Sometimes it means your nervous system has been on alert for too long, not always because of a single trauma, but because of chronic stress, low-grade pressure, and a life that never really lets you exhale. When your body learns that it has to stay ready for conflict, ready for criticism, ready for the next demand, it becomes very hard to turn that switch off. You can be sitting on a couch and still feel like you're bracing. And when you're bracing all the time, you don't just feel tired, you feel flat. That flatness is what people often describe as numbness. Not feeling sad in a clean, crying way, just not feeling much of anything. The food tastes okay, but not special. The jokes are funny, but don't land deep. The weekend arrives, and it doesn't feel like relief, it feels like a pause before the next wave. Psychology has a few labels for pieces of this: burnout, emotional exhaustion, anhedonia, depressive symptoms, existential fatigue. Labels can be helpful, but only if they don't turn into a prison. The real question is simpler. What has your mind been carrying for so long that it finally started setting down your ability to feel? Here's a pattern I see again and again. The people most tired of existing are often the people who had to become manageable early. Maybe you grew up in a house where emotions were inconvenient, so you learned to be easy, not to cause trouble, to read the room, to anticipate what people needed before they asked. That skill can make you look mature, calm, capable. It can also make you exhausted. Because a life built on constant scanning, are they okay? Did I say the wrong thing? Do I need to fix this? Is a life lived with your attention turned outward? You become really good at handling everything except yourself. And then adulthood adds another layer: performance. Modern life quietly trains us to live like a product. Be productive, be improving, be marketable, be upbeat, be consistent. Post the photos, hit the goals, keep up, don't fall behind, don't be weird, don't be needy, don't be too much. So you start treating rest like something you have to earn. You start treating peace like a reward, not a right. And even when you do rest, your mind is still running. You're lying down, but you're not resting. You're negotiating, you're replaying conversations, you're planning, you're worrying. You're mentally building a case that you're doing enough. That's not rest, that's fatigue with better lighting. There's also a painful kind of exhaustion that comes from living in a role you didn't choose. Some people become the caretaker in their family. Some become the emotional support friend. Some become the stable employee who covers everyone else's mistakes. Some become the person who says yes because saying no feels like danger. If you've been that person for a long time, your self gets squeezed into the gaps left over after everyone else's needs are handled. You don't notice it at first. You just feel busy. Then one day, you notice you don't want anything anymore. Not because you're ungrateful, because wanting started to feel pointless. That's a big sign. When desire starts shutting down, it's often not a character flaw, it's the mind protecting you from disappointment. If you stop hoping, you stop getting hurt. If you stop caring, you stop feeling the sting. It's a survival trick, and it works until it doesn't. Because numbness keeps out pain, but it also blocks joy. It's like putting your heart in a freezer. Nothing rots, but nothing grows either. And then there's the meaning problem. This one is sneaky. You can have a decent life on paper, job, home, friends, routines, and still feel empty. Not because you're spoiled, because your days don't feel connected to something you actually believe in. You wake up, do the tasks, scroll, sleep, repeat. At first, it's manageable, then it's strange, then it's terrifying, because you start realizing you could do this same loop for years, and the thought doesn't feel stable, it feels suffocating. People often blame themselves for that feeling. I should be happier, other people have it worse, what's wrong with me? But that guilt is often just another layer of pressure. A more useful question is, what are you doing every day that your deeper self doesn't agree with? Alignment matters more than we admit. It's not some mystical concept, it's practical. When your actions match your values, your nervous system relaxes. When they don't, you can feel tired even after doing nothing, because internally you've been fighting yourself. That internal fight is exhausting. This is why you can spend hours on something you genuinely care about and feel oddly alive, even if you're physically tired. But you can spend 1 hour doing something that violates your boundaries or your truth and feel wrecked for the entire day. Energy isn't only fuel, it's also permission. So what do you do if you recognize yourself in this? First, take yourself seriously without turning it into drama. You don't need a perfect diagnosis to respect your own experience. Second, notice what kind of tired you're dealing with. Is it sensory tired? Like everything is too loud, too bright, too fast? Is it social tired? Like even easy conversations feel like work? Is it decision tired? Like choosing what to eat feels like a test? Is it moral tired? Like you're living in constant compromise? Is it grief tired? Like you lost something and never had space to feel it? Is it shame tired? Like you're always trying to prove you're okay? Different kinds of tired require different kinds of care. If you treat everything like, I just need a vacation, you might come back and still feel empty, because the real drain wasn't lack of travel, it was lack of safety, lack of boundaries, lack of meaning, lack of self-respect. Now, let's get real. No one flips a switch and becomes aligned overnight. You don't have to quit your job today, end your relationship today, reinvent your personality today. That's not healing, that's panic. Instead, start with small honesty. Honesty with yourself sounds like, this situation drains me. I keep saying yes out of fear. I'm performing confidence. I'm avoiding my own feelings. I don't actually want what I'm chasing. Small sentences, quiet sentences, but they change things. Because once you name the drain, you can start adjusting it. One practical move is to create a low demand zone in your life. A time every day, even 15 minutes, where you don't improve. Don't optimize, don't scroll, don't explain yourself. You just exist without being measured. Sit, walk, breathe, stare out a window, put your phone in another room. Let your nervous system learn what no pressure feels like again. At first, it might feel boring or uncomfortable or guilty. That's normal. That guilt is the old program running. If I'm not producing, I'm failing. Let it run. Don't obey it. Another move is to audit your relationships, not for who's good or bad, but for who is expensive. Some people cost you energy because you can't be honest around them. Some people cost you energy because you have to be the therapist. Some people cost you energy because they only like your useful version. You don't need to hate them, but you do need to notice the price. Then there's the internal critic. This one is brutal for tired people, because even when you rest, it keeps pushing. It turns every quiet moment into a court case. You're wasting time, you're falling behind, you're weak. If you want a quick experiment, next time that voice shows up, answer it like you would answer a stressed friend. Not with motivational quotes, with something simple and adult. I hear you, we're tired, we can continue later. That's it. You don't argue, you don't fight, you acknowledge and redirect. Over time, this reduces the internal friction that eats so much energy. And yes, biology matters too. If you've been under chronic stress, your sleep can be long but not restorative. Your body can be flooded with stress hormones at the wrong times. Your appetite can change. Your concentration can collapse. This is not weakness, it's physiology. That's why support helps. Real support. Sometimes support is a therapist, a counselor, a doctor, a psychiatrist. Sometimes it's a trusted friend who can handle the truth. Sometimes it's changing your environment, your workload, your boundaries. If your thoughts ever shift from "I'm tired" to "I don't want to be here," please treat that as an emergency signal, not a private shame. Reach out to local emergency services, a crisis line, or someone you trust immediately. You deserve help in real time, not someday. Now, I want to say something that might land differently depending on where you are in this. The fact that you're tired of existing can be a sign that your old way of living has reached its limit. That doesn't mean you're broken, it means your system is honest. Your mind is telling you, this pace is not sustainable. Your body is telling you, this role is too tight. Your emotions are telling you, I've been ignored for too long. Your attention is telling you, I don't want to spend another year doing things that don't matter to me. That's not failure, that's information. And if you listen to the information, slowly, gently, your energy can come back. Not as constant happiness, not as endless motivation, but as something quieter and more real. A sense of okayness, a sense that you're not fighting life every day. Sometimes the goal isn't to be positive. Sometimes the goal is to be honest and safe. You start noticing small returns. You laugh and it feels natural. You hear a song and you feel something. You wake up and the day doesn't feel like a sentence. You still have hard moments because you're human, but you're not carrying the same invisible load. And maybe the biggest shift is this. You stop treating your tiredness like an enemy. You treat it like a message from a part of you that's been working overtime. Let's also clear up a misunderstanding. This kind of exhaustion can coexist with good things. You can love your partner and still feel empty. You can be grateful and still feel numb. You can have opportunities and still feel like you're dragging yourself through the day. Gratitude doesn't cancel out depletion. Sometimes gratitude is the very reason people stay quiet about how bad they feel. They don't want to seem unappreciative. They don't want to look dramatic, so they swallow it. And swallowed feelings don't disappear. They become tension. They become headaches. They become irritability. They become that constant sense that something is wrong, but you can't name it. If you grew up being praised for being strong, this hits even harder. Strength becomes your identity. People expect it from you. You expect it from you. So when you start struggling, you don't just feel tired, you feel ashamed for being tired. That shame makes everything heavier. Here's the reality. Being strong often means you've been in problem-solving mode for too long. Your brain has been trained to treat emotions like tasks. Fix it, manage it, hide it, move on. But emotions aren't tasks, they're signals. And signals you ignore don't stop signaling, they just turn up the volume. So what does listening actually look like in daily life? Not in a poetic way, in a Tuesday at 3 p.m. way. It looks like noticing the exact moment your body tightens when you read a message from a certain person. It looks like noticing how your breathing changes when you open your work inbox. It looks like noticing how you feel after spending time with someone who only talks about themselves. It looks like noticing how you feel when you finally say no, even politely. These are data points, not drama, data. You don't have to interpret them perfectly, just collect them. A simple practice is to ask yourself one question a few times per day. Is what I'm doing right now giving me energy, taking energy, or neutral? Most people never ask, they just push through. But if you start asking, patterns show up fast. You'll realize you spend huge chunks of your week doing things that quietly drain you, and almost no time doing things that refill you. And refilling doesn't have to be productive. Refilling can be doing something slowly on purpose, being around someone who doesn't require a performance, moving your body in a way that feels kind, sitting in silence without earning it first, writing down what you actually think, not what you should think. There's also a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from being disconnected from your own preferences. This happens when you've spent years adapting, choosing what's safe, what's expected, what's acceptable. You get so good at adapting that you forget you have tastes, opinions, a personal rhythm. So you might genuinely not know what you want anymore. Not because you're broken, because you haven't been asked in a long time. If that's you, start with tiny questions. What kind of music do I actually like when nobody's watching? What time of day do I feel least stressed? Which places make my body feel calmer? What do I do that makes time pass faster in a good way? Again, not dramatic, just curious. Curiosity is often the first thing that comes back when a person starts healing. Another thing that matters, self-talk. When you're tired of existing, your mind often becomes harsh and absolute. I'm always like this. Nothing helps. I'll never feel normal again. I'm wasting my life. That kind of thinking is understandable, but it's also a symptom of depletion. A tired brain goes black and white. It narrows. It loses flexibility. So if your thoughts feel extreme, that doesn't necessarily mean they're true. It might mean you're running on low fuel. One helpful move is to gently add qualifiers back into your language. Right now, I feel like nothing helps. Lately, I've been struggling. Today is heavy. This week has been rough. It sounds small, but it creates breathing room. Breathing room is how you survive a hard season without turning it into an identity. Now, a quick word about motivation. People chase it like it's the missing ingredient, but motivation is usually a result, not a starting point. When you're depleted, waiting for motivation is like waiting for a phone to turn on without charging it. Instead, aim for minimum viable action. Small, realistic steps that don't require a big emotional push. Examples: put clean sheets on your bed, not because it fixes your life, because it makes the next night a little softer. Open a window for 2 minutes. Let your senses reset. Drink a glass of water. not as a wellness ritual, as maintenance. Step outside and look at the sky. Sounds silly, works anyway. Send one honest message to one safe person. I've been low lately. These tiny actions don't solve the whole thing, but they interrupt the spiral that says nothing matters. And here's something people rarely admit. Sometimes you're tired of existing because you're lonely, even if you're surrounded by people. You can be socially busy and still feel unseen. You can be in a relationship and still feel emotionally alone. You can be the funny one and still feel like nobody knows you. That kind of loneliness drains you in a special way, because you're doing all this life stuff, but it doesn't land anywhere. It doesn't get held. It doesn't get understood. So it starts to feel pointless. If that resonates, the goal isn't more people, it's safer connection. 1 or 2 relationships where you can be honest without being punished for it. And if you don't have that right now, you're not doomed. You can build it, slowly. But you may need to look in different places than you've been looking. Sometimes the people around you can only handle the version of you that doesn't need much. That's not evil, it's limits. Still, you're allowed to want more. Let's talk about your inner pace too. Many tired people live too fast internally, even when their life looks calm. The mind is sprinting, rehearsing, predicting, analyzing, checking. That sprinting becomes normal. You forget what slow thinking feels like. So if you try to relax, you might notice anxiety instead. That's not a sign you're doing it wrong. It's a sign your system forgot how to downshift. Downshifting is a skill. You practice it. One way is to reduce inputs for short periods, not forever, just intentionally. No news, no endless scrolling, no back-to-back conversations, no constant background noise. Give your brain fewer things to process, and it can start returning to baseline. You might also notice that your exhaustion has a moral edge. You're tired of the way life is set up, tired of the pressure, tired of the grind, tired of watching people act like everything is fine when it's not. That's not just sadness, that's values. Sometimes existential fatigue is a sign you care deeply, and you've been forced to live in a system that doesn't match what you care about. If you're sensitive to unfairness, to emptiness, to performative living, modern life can feel like sandpaper on the soul. So if you're tired, it might also mean you're awake to things other people numb out. That can feel isolating, but it can also become your compass. You don't need to become a saint or change the world, but you might need to structure your life so your values are present in it. Small acts, real acts, doing one thing each week that feels meaningful on a human level. Meaning is not always a grand purpose. Sometimes it's being useful to someone in a way that doesn't exploit you, creating something small and honest, learning a skill that makes you feel capable, volunteering once a month, caring for an animal, building a routine that respects your limits. These things sound simple, but simple is often what saves people. Finally, I want to underline this. If you're tired of existing, you are not a problem to be solved. You're a person who has been running a long time without enough recovery. So don't aim for a perfect comeback story. Aim for a gentler day, then another gentler day. And if you can't do that alone, get help, not because you're failing, but because you're human. Support is part of the design. You don't have to keep proving you can carry everything by yourself. Sometimes the most life-changing sentence is, "I can't do this the way I've been doing it." Not as a defeat, as a turning point.